All right. As I am wont to do in my classes, I am easily distracted, but I love going down these rabbit holes and answering questions as we're working. So I just did the wipe away for the first part of the class. And right now I'm just going to do a very, very quick glazing over this. This is just the beginning of a painting that I started doing out at the coast on our last visit out there. Never finished it, never did much with it, but you can kind of see the shapes a little bit there. And I'm just going to quickly glaze in there using oil paint. So this is oil. I could use some medium like a Galkid gel or any of the many glazing mediums that are available to oil painters. But the truth is, if I use transparent colors, which I have on the palette, pretty much all of these colors besides my white is opaque. But this Indian yellow, very transparent, quinacridone red, very transparent, ultramarine blue, quite transparent. I've got a ultramarine green, again, new color, odd color, but I think that might be fun just to see what happens in the ocean here. So let's go ahead and I'm going to load my brush. And I'm just going to scrub that in. So if you see when I put it on, it very much just covers up, right? Uh-oh, whatever happened to Mike's beautiful underpainting, right? But now all I have to do is just thin that out. Because it's a transparent color, the values and the underlying shape begins to come back. I can go ahead and dip my brush in just a touch of paint thinner, actually, Gamsol. And we can see some of those colors underneath. Whenever you glaze, one thing to keep in mind is it's going to be darker than it was before. Anytime you add, even if it's my Indian yellow, it just feels like the color of sunshine. But now I can literally come back in with a paper towel. And all of a sudden,
and the transparent colors stain more.
They do. They stain more. Exactly right.
But you can dip your paper towel or your Q-tip into a little glazing medium or whatever you're using and bring the white back, bring the highlights back if you want.
Right. So I'll just grab a Q-tip here, and I'm just going to bring back some of the brightness of the surf a little bit more. If I knew what I was going to do, you know, like I planned ahead to glaze into this, I would probably have made my lights lighter, my darks, you know, less, also lighter, because I know everything's going to get a little bit lighter. Let's just go ahead and dip my paper towel into a little paint thinner. But what I can do with my paper towel is I can twist it and give myself a little bit of a tip. And now it's going to actually load up with some paint thinner. Right? Yeah. Bring back a little of the surf. So I got kind of a greenish color. Let's just go ahead and dip into my blue, my ultramarine blue, which is a semi-transparent. So a true transparent color is even going to be better for glazing. But let's just pretend we wanted blue sky instead of just a gray sky. I've probably got too much paint thinner on there, but we'll see. I can just lightly wipe it away. Ooh, moody. I'm going to grab some of my, I'm going to clean that brush real fast. And then I'm just going to grab some of my quinacridone red. But you can see that gray is really showing through, right? So that blue is not vibrant because whatever's underneath is going to show through, you know, the thinner I have it. So let's just go ahead and it always looks crazy. Who asked for lipstick on this painting? All right. Oh, you guys want to hear a funny story about lipstick? My wife's just had her 50th, and my mother-in-law was so sweet and made a big party for her. And she wanted to make a card with a big heart on it. And you probably already know where I'm going with this. And she didn't have any red pens. So she grabbed her really nice, thick red lipstick and put a heart on the inside of the card. And she didn't realize that as the red dried, it turns brown. And then when she closed the card, it all just smushed together. And the note above it says, "I love you this much." And when she opened the card, it just looked like a big pile of poop.
Okay, all right, back off. Sit down.
All right, see that bright, bright red? Woo, too much.
Oh, wow.
Wild.
That is fun.
Beautiful.
For somebody who's uncomfortable with color, let's add some yellow. But anyways, you can see, I could wait and let these layers really dry in between, which would, be better. And you really get some interesting, beautiful effects. A lot of the old Renaissance painters were really patient, just one, thin, transparent layer on top of another, letting them dry. This makes me crazy. It looks like a stupid rainbow. So I'm just gonna bring back in some red so that the yellow is not so overbearing. And now, now I'm gonna wipe it all off almost. And because I've got red, yellow, and blue, it's going to go to earth colors more. It's going to become more subdued. But it's nice to have paintings laying around that you don't really care about. It was fun to paint it while I was at the coast, but I never did finish it. I never had any big plans for it. So it's nice just to have it around so that I can
experiment.
I have a question about, I just noticed that there are some alkyd fast dry oil paints. Can those be mixed with regular oil paints, or do they
Yes.
have to be used separately?
Yes, they are great for mixing. I often use fast dry white because white is the slowest drying color. When I'm out plein air painting, I'll often have a tube of white and a tube of one of the blues, because those colors get kind of mixed into almost everything when I'm painting outdoors. Yeah, and they're great for glazing too because they dry faster. So
Thanks.
anyways, there is my very roughshod, very odd colored sky.
Yeah, but it looks nice.
Thank
I
you.
liked it.
So in the glazing process, then you basically use pure paint. But
I did, yeah, but I could have mixed it with mediums and
with a little
that would
medium.
make it better, truly.
Yeah.
But
Depends how thick you want it, how dark you want it.
right. I don't know. Here you go. It's something. It's probably a little bit more interesting than it was.
Yeah.
And I want to keep removing just a little bit before we are done here.
It still seems like magic to me.
Right.
Go ahead.
It kind of is when it works.
Michael, could you take your Terp and wipe all of that off and
Let's
save it for
let's
later?
see, shall we?
Yeah.
Oh. Ah.
Look at it coming out.
Wow.
Now let's change it into a rainy.
So that's not something you could do with acrylic.
Probably
Well-
not,
Acrylic would not work this way.
not for
It
a little.
depends when you're doing it.
Right. Well, yeah, when I am wiping out with acrylic, I'm mainly using my brush to pick up the paint. But
All right, I'm just gonna grab brown here. There, now it's fixed.
Is that what is that color there? Is that a brown you
It's
mix?
it's a transparent earth red and a transparent earth brown.
Oh, thank you.
You grab a clean paper towel, which is getting harder and harder to find. And I'm just gonna move that around.
I
Grab
like
some ultramarine blue.
Has anybody ever watched Stuart Davies video?
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
heard you guys talk
I
about
have
it.
watched.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've
he's
watched.
scary. Because he'll do the glaze over the top of a whole painting and wipe it away.
Yeah, it's fun because you're just kind of, I mean, that's kind of cool.
Wow.
Just really, took that silly rainbow cloud and now we've got a moody skyscape here. Let's,
So nice.
Yeah, so you could just keep experimenting. If you don't like it, you just take it off.
right. Let's punch up these clouds a little more.
Cool.
There's a painter from Holland, Roger Arndt, and his paintings are fabulous. But they told me that he might put up to 50 layers of glazing, like paint on.
Yep.
Yeah, I would like to, learn that, but I'm not patient enough where I don't build my.
Yeah.
This is already so dark that every time I add another glaze, but you could come back in with white paint in the area and then let that dry again and then glaze back over it. So there are times where, I will lighten, with a layer of fast dry white or whatever. There, now see that it's kind of interesting to me.
Mm.
You can see I just am scared of color. So, some of you are going, but I like the rainbow clouds.
I like this one. I like this one better.
Yeah, me too.
Mm.
Sometimes I glaze with zinc white. Sometimes I glaze with white, but I try and use zinc white because you can just add a little at a time if I want to push something back.
Mhm.
Yeah, I use scumbling generally for that, where I just kind of dry brush it in.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's glazing with white is for some reason weird for oil paints. I'm sure people do it and know how to do it, but for me, I get really odd effects.
It's chalky.
Anyways, yeah, that was fun. So there's glazing and oils. And I'm
Beautiful.
gonna see, again, I'm gonna take a break, come back, set up some acrylics, probably just do black and white and then some glazing over the top of that. I'm hoping that Cheryl will acrylic, if I do it pretty thin, will that dry in about 15 to 20 minutes so that I can
Yeah. If you do it
glaze?
really thin.
Okay, so you guys can probably hear the dog barking, so I better go check what's going on there, and maybe need to let her out, and I will be back in. Let's go ahead and take a 10-minute break so I can do the dog, deal with the dog, and get all these cleaned up.